January 26th, 1 year to the day, Kobe Bryant. Tragic news. Josue, Max, you guys were on the road together. I think, where were you, Josue? Oklahoma? Or Charlotte?
We're in New Orleans. New Orleans. I was actually heading to the arena. The New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Celtics. It was an early afternoon game, right, Max? Oh no, late afternoon. I think it was like a 6 o'clock start or something like that.
6 o'clock start, and I remember waking up from a nap, and I got a call, and the person texted me and said that Kobe Bryant had died in a helicopter crash, and I'm like everybody else. The first thing you say, get the hell out of here! Come on. It's just like when somebody told Shaq, I think Shaq's cousin or his son told him about it, and Shaq, look, man, that's not funny. I'll beat your ass up for that. We don't play that. That's not good news. And and eventually, when you turn the TV on, every television station, every radio station, every person had it, and then it was like going to the arena and looking at the players. My story is always with Jaylen Brown. He was the first player I saw, and I walked on the court. And this is, being an older black man, it's like Jaylen Brown, the first thing he said was, I said, Jaylen, bad news. He said, I never met him. And I wanted to reach out and hug the dude because it was a poignant moment with that. He was so distraught about not meeting Kobe. And I would have just assumed that he had met Kobe Bryant before, playing at Berkeley, being in the league for a while. And for him to say that, it was so disheartening. And then to have the festivities after that with, 24-second violation, the 8-second violation, bring
Doc Rivers.
It was just surreal. And it's almost like you didn't, as a player, I'd have been hard pressed to play that game. I say that I'd been hard pressed, and if I'd have been a friend of his, I'd have been hard pressed. And you see guys visibly shaking, crying, on and on. So it was it was, and then to play the game, even then it just seemed like so. And Kobe Bryant would have wanted everybody to go on, but it just seemed like just should have been like, you started the game and you ended the game. And everybody should have just, that one time, I wouldn't even mind if the NBA, if all the games had been forfeited. And that day, you start the game and that's it. And everybody just grieve and go home.
And they had the 24-second clock violation, and the NBA really, the players came together to honor him. And I think that the crazy thing is it led into what we now know as our normal in 2020, 2021, which has been like the year of just awfulness. And everybody kind of compared Kobe's death maybe a little bit to finding out about Magic, only it was way more morbid because Kobe was dead. Josue, I heard we're doing those tributes here on the network, and I heard your tribute to him, and I had the exact same thing. Twitter, TMZ, it came across.
Yeah, that's how I first found out. Yeah.
Listen, I was not a Kobe fan, but that moment I became a fan. Like, it was like, no, it was like your high school friend. It was somebody who's been around forever. And the rivalry was gone at that moment, and everybody wore yellow. I think you said that, Max. You tweeted that out. Everybody's wearing purple and gold today. Right. If they had that on NBA.
It's like I streamed it out on my phone as if it spoke to me. I was like,
yes.
What? Like, no, like, this can't be true. And of course, the fact that it's from TMZ, just my heart just dropped, because they're rarely wrong, unfortunately, especially about things like this.
And crazy.
Just to see the way, the one person that sticks out to me the most is Jason Tatum. Now, Tatum didn't even play that game. He wasn't supposed to play even before the news.
Yeah, he was injured.
Yeah, I'll never forget how devastated he looked. And we both just made eye contact, and we both just sort of gave each other that look, like, hang in there. It went unsaid, just the look that we gave each other. And I remember at that point thinking, this is actually the first time I'm sharing this, actually. I remember at that point, in that exact moment, thinking, man, like, I wonder, like, a lot of fans have no idea, or at least they can imagine how devastated he is. Maybe I should tell them. And I say, you know what? No, No, I'm gonna let him have that, or at least maybe we can keep that moment between us two, because right
or
now
let him
it's
tell
just
them.
working or reporting about something like that just didn't seem appropriate for me. So I just let it go. And again, Max said it. We talked about it before earlier today, over the phone. It was like we were just going through the motions. Yeah, we were at work, but it was just a really odd
Everything was
atmosphere at
muted,
work.
right?
Everything had just happened. Everything was just so fresh.
Homegoing.
I want to say they planned it that way, Max. I think that they planned it.
They planned it for 220,
a lot
224.
of time when you talk about that. For
you're right, man. You're right.
us actually to be there, and the sadness, the game itself was just was a great game. It was like it was almost like Tatum was
handled them. Yeah.
Tatum was Kobe the way the Lakers having the double team and the Celtics finally losing that game. And then the next day, and this is what, me and Josue laughed when we talked about our guy Nick. Nick said, well, nobody's gonna be nobody will be there.
That's not what I said.
Nobody.
You're never gonna hear the end of this, Nick.
There was not
ever.
Okay, let's use your words. I'll let you use your words then.
I said, Max, I think you're overblowing this a little bit. I don't think it's going to fill the arena. I mean, 20,000 people. It's not like the Prince of Wales died here. And I was wrong, because we were there, and there were hundreds of thousands of people who came to LA. And Max, I'd say, like, we did a show after that, and Josue, after we hung up with you, Josue and I go, I think that was the first time Max ever admitted he was impressed, because you were kind of impressed with who was at that memorial.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable. It was, besides basketball, it was the most sports celebrities I'd ever seen, and NBA stars that I ever saw in one place. Just the people in front of me, Bill, and I was always remember saying, okay, where am I going to be seated?
Yeah, you must have said that 10 times before.
And I said, man, I'm going to.
Max, you even asked me, like, I know. I'm like, I don't know, Max.
I said, I'm not going to be up in the boondocks, am I? And then they finally gave me.
You won't be next to me, Max. Don't worry.
Because they didn't have a ticket for me. And then finally they came up with one. And then I where I'm seated, right in front of me is Bill Russell. 2 seats down from me is Steph Curry. And
Jordan.
then it's Kyrie. And then on the other corner, as I saw him get up to speak, 5 seats from me was Michael Jordan. So it was surreal. And then looking at all the people there, it just was it was unreal. I mean, it was real. I can't even I end up taking a picture of the stage, and it was just so I don't even know what it was like. I mean, I can't even hardly picture what happened. It seemed like everybody was essentially floating. This was
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
this was Nick Gelso's year, when he comes and says, you know what? No, I don't think there's gonna be that many people in the arena. And you know what? After that, Nick tops it off again. They're going, this COVID thing, that's blown up. Fake news.
I didn't say fake news. I said alarmist media, but I will say,
they won't,
listeners, viewers, he's right about all of this. I did.
They won't shut down the league.
Don't take your bets from me.
Like, this whole COVID thing, I mean, come on. It's not that bad, right?
Remember me going, Josue, you were there. I'm going, this fucking COVID nonsense. This ain't going to be anything. Everybody's hyping it up. Let's have a Corona. Here we are a year and a half later. And Kobe started it all. I mean, the news about Kobe started it all, and it actually David Stern started it all. And then it rolled it. And then we were together for that too, the three of us. We were in the press room with Bob Ryan when we heard. I won't forget that.
It was a magnificent year so far as the things that happened. The first day of 2020 was the day that I met the other side of my family. There's a book that's coming out.
Your book?
That my book is coming out, and it talks about me meeting 3 other siblings that I didn't know existed for the first time. Me being 64 years old at the time. That was the first day of the year, New Year's Day, And then it just, oh my God, it's just been a crescendo from here on in. Everything that's happened. And then, even to the end, and I thought it would be, we'd be kind of going down the hill, and then Hank Aaron dies, and this guy dies.
The Capitol gets
It's been this year, this 12 months, and maybe now going into 13 months, has probably been the most impactful in my 65 years of being here on Earth.
It's been my 42 or whatever age I am. Absolutely. I've never seen anything like this. And I do also, one more falsehood from yours truly. I do remember saying the NBA will be shut down.
Out there, huh, Nick?
The NBA, I'm just doing it before he does it. The NBA will be shut down 3 weeks max. 3 weeks maximum. It will be shut down. And here we are a year later, still getting.
Can I do Max's reaction? Can I do Max's reaction?
He's doing it right now.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Nick, I think you're underestimating it. That's what he was saying. Just like that.
I think that there were things about
this. So Max gives you that look like.
With Nick going, yeah, that's the one.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Seriously?
Really? That's where we're going. And I just.
His eyes are like this.
It was just that, again, just when we were talking, going with that whole thing, that I remember going to the arena that day. And me thinking like, okay, how many people are going to be here? I know it's going to be packed, but literally we saw people and we came in on the team bus. So we had a good, view of where we went in, but literally people were standing in line 10 blocks away from the Staples Center, peaceful as can be, walking to the arena with 24 and 8 on. 24 and 8. That's all you saw.
Bill Russell at 24.
24 and 8. And I said, I just looked at people who were there. LL Cool J was very much near me. Beyonce and her husband Jay-Z were there. It was just like
Kanye West.
Kanye.
I mean, you couldn't.
Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get more stars in one area. And LA is known for that, to have stars. You think of the Grammys, or you think of the Oscars, or
the Great Western Forum, the Fabulous Forum.
This was 10 times bigger than anything that I've ever been around.
And I think what was probably most impressive was the Lakers, and I believe probably Vanessa Bryant and the Lakers did all the planning, but it was when you bring in that many people and someone with that big of a personality, sometimes it gets a little too much, right? A little bit gaudy, right? This was so tasteful. Now, I happen to be, Josue went in with the press pass. I was outside, so I didn't see the inside except for what you guys relayed to me. And I don't regret that at all. I think it was, amazing just to even be there. But for me, I think of you two immediately when I think about Kobe, because you told me the story. If you remember I keep saying OKC, in New Orleans, you guys did that stone cold blank faced. It wasn't a stand up because you were sitting, and we re-aired this at the top of the show. But when I looked at that and I saw Josue, I saw your face, knowing you all these years, I was like, holy shit, how's he keeping it together? And then Max, who's always happy-go-lucky, you guys look like you saw ghosts. So then it rolled from that, and it kept going, and it kind of tipped off with the 224 in LA, where I was with you guys again. And the day before at the Staples Center, that was kind of like the pre-ramp up to the Kobe Memorial. There were stars everywhere, right? More than usual. Oh, and I remember being in the I won't say what media member, but his father was a douche too. You played against him, Max. And he's sitting at the table in the press room with me. You know who, Josue. And I'm sitting there, and I'm being quiet, and I'm eating, and he's going on, ripping, because he can't get in the memorial. And I'm getting up with my plates. I looked over, and I said, hey. And I said his name. He looked. I said, I have 2 tickets. And I kept walking, and I left because he was so rude to me. And it was just, I guess the point is, everyone wanted to be in there because it was such a big moment to be a part of. It wasn't like a who's who, let me be seen. It was more like, who's who. Let me memorialize somebody that really made an impact.
Josue, there was something that didn't happen in there. That did not happen in there, and I noticed it. You didn't see a lot of people taking their cameras out.
Yeah.
And you didn't see a lot of people
true.
taking you normally you see people taking pictures, and I remember I snuck a picture of the stage.
I have it.
Like I was like I was like afraid to do it because it was such an awkward moment. Everybody seemed like they were like, it's like these things for the first time. They
in the pocket.
People kept them in their pocket, and they didn't bring them out until we left the building. I mean, normally you think about it, you would see at the arena, you would see flashes at the top, people taking pictures all over the place. I didn't see that. I did not say. Now
I think
I was blind to it, but then you see how Jordan got up there. You saw how
I was gonna say the closest you saw a little bit was when Jordan was up there.
Yeah. And Jordan said that thing about the
meme.
He
made a lot of money that day.
That just brought the house down. And then Shaq's line though, that was.
But when Kimmel announced Jordan, I felt like it was just like, people just already started crying. Like it was like this is gonna be tough. Like no one knew for sure who was gonna speak. You had some assumption, but when they said Michael Jordan, when they announced it, everyone was just like, you already heard the tears.
And the night.
Yeah, that was the crazy part. You didn't know too much. Like when they brought people on to sing and do. It was just like you didn't know. It was like, okay, who's gonna say what? And I thought maybe Pat Riley might have been there. I thought even, in this house,
was Pat there?
It was so cool. Magic was there, and Magic didn't say anything.
No,
which is
rare.
Which is rare that Magic Johnson didn't go up to speak at this podium. He respected everything that was there. He didn't have that connection of playing with him. And
exactly.
So,
or against him.
I think that he let it go.
LeBron didn't either, Max.
That was really classy to me.
LeBron didn't either, Max. No, LeBron didn't speak.
I liked how LeBron spoke for the first home game at the Staples Center, though, after his passing. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he did. Yes, but he didn't speak at the memorial. Magic, if you remember, they were going through a lot of controversy with the franchise. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Was it? Thinking back on it, was it LeBron's place to speak though? No. That's why I think it was really classy. The people who spoke to me were the two people: Shaq, who won multiple championships with him; Michael Jordan, who he idolized.
Yep.
Those were the two people in the basketball world that could have spoken. Maybe I was thinking about a Jerry West. Maybe
Jerry West spoke, didn't he?
No, Jerry West didn't speak.
Jerry West broke my heart that whole week. Now, we all know Jerry West is a crier, but my God, every show he went on, it was Waterworks. He broke my heart that whole week. Shaq on Inside the NBA was Waterworks. And it just, I think at that moment you realize, geez, this guy, he just had such an impact on so many people. And these bigger than life personalities, Michael Jordan was just, was Larry there, Max?
No, Larry.
No, Larry.
No.
So, and then they always said that's one of the people Larry really spoke kindly of.
I'm trying to think, Josue. Is this the one where Snoop Dogg was pissed off at Gail?
Yes, at Gail.
Was this the one?
I just come across that episode.
Snoop went off, and
so did Snickers. Like every rapper
coming to get you, and and shut the hell up, and it's like and when he said bitch, it's like I was like, whoa,
that's how he went.
And the craziest thing was immediately you could tell that an hour later, 10 minutes later, you knew that Snoop Dogg's agent had called him. And he was like, you know what? That beer commercial you're doing, all these other things, they are done. If you do not speech, apologize to this woman right here and now. And he came back and he apologized. But
it was the other guys that were even funnier. I mean, I don't remember their names, but they were like real rappers, you know, but they were like had punching bags. Like it was crazy. Snoop started it all. That was another one, Max, where you called in the morning. Turn on the television. It was everywhere. Gail was crying, right? I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I think then you went on the road. Wasn't that when you guys went on the road then? And then we met in California, I think. Didn't we? Wasn't it right around there? Or was it right around COVID?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
COVID. It's all
it was around COVID, yeah.
Kobe was so big, so I'm not going to tell you who, but somebody within my company said it will be a 3-day news cycle. I said, oh, no. Not when the Pope makes a comment. This is going to go on and on and on. Only, and this time I was right, Max, only COVID stopped the Kobe Bryant mourning. Seriously.
Yeah.
It went right to the All-Star game. Remember?
Yeah. And the All-Star game was just continuation. It went right from the day he died to that huge game with the Celtics and the Lakers, which needed to be, was perfect. Then the next day I was thinking about how great that game was. But then I thought about, I said less than 24 hours from now, we'll be in this building. It's going to be an emotional wreck. And then you went into the All-Star game. And it was like, it was just about Kobe. All-Star game was just about Kobe Bryant. And then the season, ended. It's like, what happened?
What did happen, guys? I feel like we went to sleep and woke up and we're here. Like really, that's what this last 12 months. Well, probably that's
it. And throwing a NBA playoff, and that's pretty much what happened. It feels like that at least.
Yeah, throwing a playoff in the wrong time of year, in a wrong state.
Max, you talked about what this year was and how much it affected you and how much it made you think about things. What was it like when everything came to a stop? Because, we talked about it before. Someone like you been traveling on the road always on the go for almost 20 years now. All of a sudden that comes to a stop. What was that like?
I just remember so well the day we played in Indiana Pacers, and that's when the whole thing about COVID was getting cranked up, and they were about to play a game. They were about to play a game in, I want to say it was Golden State, and somebody were about to play a game the way it is now with no fans. They talked about that. And then we were actually in Milwaukee, and I was watching part of the game, and somebody calls me and says,
over.
The season has been suspended. I was like, what do you mean? He said the season's been suspended because of COVID. He said the night's game, Rudy Gobert has tested positive.
Who was just here?
It was just in Boston. And Donovan Mitchell tested positive. Now what? Now so it was myself and Sean. We went upstairs to the bar. Again, nobody with no mask on or anything.
No, we're
sitting there processing this, and the game had been canceled for us playing the next day, and we had a meeting the next morning with the team and telling us what we were going to do, and we were.
Wasn't that the mic drop, Max? Wasn't that when you dropped the mic?
The mic drop.
That was a Kobe tribute too. Remember, he dropped Mamba out.
That was a mic drop. We had several people. Had Johnny Joe and Phil, who is our security guy. I'm gonna drop the names.
Yeah, what y'all up to?
We were actually going into, they told me to come down early. Well, the team has a private place where they eat in these hotels every morning. They serve them breakfast, and media, we're not invited. So they told us to come down. Well, I came down so I could get the information. I walk in, and Johnny Joe and Phil both, start on me with, oh, here he is. breaking security protocol. He's up in here now. All he wants is a free meal. Ex-player. And I'd heard this before, and I was just
this is the best.
I was just tired of it. So when they said that, so you got to realize all the players, all the coaches were all sitting in there. And so when they said ex-player, I turned and went around and I said, no, that'd be Finals MVP. And the place got kind of quiet. And I said, then I turned around and looked at Brad. I looked at everybody in there. I said, wait a minute, has anybody here won a championship? Kobe, Mamba out.
So I think you said, I have 2. You got some catching up to do.
And
cornbread out.
I didn't even know.
Cornbread out.
Mamba out. That was it. And walked out. And everybody came up to me on the plane talking about, damn, man, that was cold. That was cold.
Tatum said he did too.
What's that? Our assistant coach, Carol Lawson.
Yeah, Lawson.
Carol Lawson came up to me in the back of the plane. We were taking off, coming back to Boston. And she came back there. She said, damn, that was cold. She said, when you said that about does anybody else won a championship, I said, she said, I wanted to put my hand up because I won a WNBA championship. She said, does that count? I said, yeah, that counts.
That would have been great, Max.
I said, did you win 2? She said, well, I won an Olympic gold medal. Does that count? I said, yeah. I said, that counts. I said, were you a Finals MVP? No, I wasn't that. I wasn't that. So
you should have told that too, Max, on your way out. Hey, I didn't sit on the bench now either.
Again, it was just
Finals MVP.
That's and there's nothing. It's not bragging when I talk about this, but the Finals MVP is the best reward that you can get in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You can be the MVP of the regular season. You can be all-star, whatever. But when you're the Finals MVP, normally what you've done, you've won a championship. And considering the people who were on the floor with me in 1981, you think about it. You had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Nate Archibald, Moses Malone,
Robert Reed.
Robert Reed wasn't though.
I always do that on purpose because you always do that. You always. Calvin Murphy.
Rudy Tomjanovich, Calvin Murphy. All these guys were on the court when I became a Finals MVP. And I laugh because Josue, you love this one. I had Derek Sullinger, who was with the Celtics. He'd always razz my ass like, yeah, you Finals MVP. You just, you got it because Larry Bird. That he just razzed me. So
wow, Derek Sullinger of all people.
And he came back.
The old man or the kid?
Yeah, no, this is the young kid. This who was on our team. And so he comes back and he sees me the next year, and he comes over to me and he says, I have some newfound respect for you. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, this summer I worked out with Moses Malone.
Yeah, that was.
And I worked out with John Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And
tough guy.
And John Lucas was, good player, and obviously Moses. I said, you know what? He said, Moses. He said, and I asked Moses. I said, Moses, what about cornbread? And Moses, he said, mumbled to him, motherfucker, this way, motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker.
So I just laughed, and he said, John Lucas said,
oh, we got that voice.
Said, damn. So he could play. Said, damn, he could play. So I got a newfound respect from my peers who played before me, who talked about me. And so that's whole Finals MVP thing is, I guess it's a huge deal.
It's a pretty big deal. You talk about big deal, Max, and it is. I mean, that's like the ultimate award. And bringing it back to Kobe, he kind of knew that when it came to you. It was always, he gravitated towards you. I have clips of, him hugging you and all this stuff. He really loved you.
Nick, here's the thing about it, which made, I knew he was a student of the game, and I never had really officially met Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it was 5 years before he retired. I was doing a game, Celtics versus Lakers in LA. And I was speaking to my good buddy, Norm Nixon, who was there, and he was covering the Lakers. And I played with Norm when I was with the Clippers. And Kobe was walking in, and the cameras are all going and stuff. And he's like, I was like, damn, who's coming in? He said, Kobe. He said, you want to meet him? I'm like, sure. And, he said, Kobe, I want to introduce you. He said, Cornbread? Oh, I already know him, man. I know him already. And that was the student of the game. I always tell that, well, you're Cornbread. So those were times you look at your presence on what you've done in life and connecting with all these other players now over these 25 years as a broadcaster, and then some of the things we've done here on, with our podcast and with ABC, with the whole thing with 30 for 30. That was just ESPN 30 for 30. Those things have maybe reinvented, and even
Max, you're forgetting COVID. I mean, they played your games over and over and over.
That helps.
And and the best thing about that wasn't necessarily when Jason Tatum did it, but it was more so when my own kids did it, because the only one that was around, Shamika was around, and my other daughter Morgan, but my boys weren't around when I played. So it wasn't. So when they finally saw it and saw Daddy on TV, it was like, damn, he could play. He was a bad man. So it was.
When they heard it was Ice Cube being like, that damn Cedric Maxwell, I couldn't stand him. They were hating. They were loving that. They were like, "What? My dad pissed off Ice Cube. My dad made Ice Cube so mad."
We need to get
die-hard Lakers fan.
We need to get Ice Cube on. We do. I know we have.
You know what would be great?
I know things have died down now for him with all the stuff that with the politics, people's proposal and him wanting to be with Trump or whatever that story was. But man, he was so funny in that 30 for 30.
When you did that, he was pissed. When you did that
he had for me and ML Carr was just
that damn ML Carr.
Because he said you two were laughing.
And that towel.
After he missed the free throw, they're laughing, they're having a ball.
Josue, what you got to do is we got to call Donnie, get Donnie Wahlberg and him on, and you can go back and let them talk trash on Max. That's the move.
Die-hard Lakers fan against a die-hard Celtics fan. Hollywood style with Max in the middle. That's perfect.
That is genius.
Yeah,
don't let this out, man. Nick,
that might be one of your best moves.
NBC will be doing it tomorrow,
Nick, because Donnie would love to be on, and the only way we're going to get Ice Cube on
is Donnie.
The only way we'll get him on is because we want to relate him to this basketball story, not what happened with Trump and whatever that was.
Well, and let's face it,
we could also give him a chance to, clear up
talk about that, right?
But that would be huge. I'd love to have both those guys.
You talk about that, Max, but he has, I think, 20 million followers or something. Like, that dude is like getting hit off all the time. If you had his number, a text message, he'd be on just to talk trash at you, I think. You know what I'm saying? And Donnie would be on, and Donnie would be co-host with him.
But I'm thinking that, the person that could really reach him would be
Donnie.
Donnie.
Yeah.
Donnie probably has, or his brother, or whoever it is, has Ice Cube's number and said, Cube, I want you on for this basketball segment with that hated ass Cedric Maxwell. And maybe
we should get ML.
Maybe ML to do a cameo.
So here's as we're rounding out.
A surprise visit from ML Carr.
ML shows up. Holy shit!
Yeah, just tell Donnie he's interested in making another Are We There Yet or something.
There you go.
I can pick up that phone real quick.
As we're rounding out Kobe here, just to kind of button it all up, we look at the podcast you guys do, and Max, you and during the quarantine, you went on a binge of just kind of interview series. And everyone, usually you get the legends together, and majority, you're one of the few that doesn't do it. You know how it is, Josue. You get it's not as good as it was back in my day. I kick his ass, right? Not with Kobe. Every single person from, Hall of Famers to Kareem, all-time leading scorer, to, Bob McAdoo, everybody was just falling all over Kobe, right down to Bakari Sellers and John Berman from CNN. Because you asked everyone, and everybody had the same reply. And that just says it all, man, right? Doesn't that say it all?
Yeah, that's the way to end it right there.
Yeah.
Josue Pavone here, coming at you from New Orleans, the Smoothie King Center, where the Celtics are about to take on the Pelicans, but that's the last thing on everyone's mind. The news of Kobe Bryant dying in a horrific helicopter crash has been the talk around here. It's unfortunate news. I'm joined by Cedric Maxwell, share a few thoughts. The Celtics locker room has remained closed and will remain that way. Brad Stevens did share a few words, but Max, let's just start off with your immediate reaction of the news.
Well, I'm just shocked, like anybody else. I think I put it out on Twitter today that we're all wear purple and gold. And I guess in the last couple of years, I had just a brief but a kind of funny moment with Kobe, where he would come over and speak to me.
It is, in fact, a nice touch by Kobe there, saying goodbye to Cedric Maxwell.
I'd speak to him, and I'd see him at the game, and he'd come over and dap me up, and it was just so cool. And I remember the last game he played in Boston. After the game, the Lakers had won, and everybody was mulling around in the arena, and they said everybody had to go. And I was doing the interview, and they said, "Oh, Max, you don't have to go." I said, "Say he's coming out." I'm like, who's coming out? Kobe's coming out. And he was doing a montage to all the arenas he had played in. And he sees me, and he comes over and says, "Max," he said, "the reason I played as hard as I play because I used to watch old school basketball, and I should see you guys play, and I'd be like, get him. I was like, whoa, Kobe, take it down." So it was such a funny and an honest moment. And from then on, when I'd see him, he would definitely come over and speak to me. And our seats just beside the Lakers, right near their bench. And before one of the games, I had on a purple tie. Kobe was about to go out, and he looked at me and said, "Purple tie, huh?" I said, "Well, this is in honor of you. It was his last game." And he dapped me up, and it was just so cool. And then after the game, he was saying hello to everybody, and then he was granted we'll leave, and he paused for a minute like he was thinking about something and made a beeline and came right over to me and dapped me up, and it was so cool. And I will always have that as a moment, and I have a great picture of Kobe and I together, and it's just it just seems so unreal. And I think the most unfortunate thing about it to me as a father, and his daughter died with him, is just that as a father, you're there to comfort your children. And at that moment, what had to be going through his mind and trying to protect his daughter's life at that time, and there was nothing he could do.
We spoke about it on our podcast, just how Kobe took on this role of mentoring the younger players and how he remained, training guys and, of course, training his daughter as well throughout the sport of basketball to get them up to speed and share so much knowledge. And, just this news, I think, is just, you look at the way the game is today, and a lot of guys today, like, how do you get on the court? How do you play basketball after all that?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about life. When there was 9/11, the next day was 9/12. Moment, what had to be going through his mind and trying to protect his daughter's life at that time, and there was nothing he could do.
We spoke about it on our podcast, just how Kobe took on this role of mentoring the younger players and how he remained, training guys and, of course, training his daughter as well throughout the sport of basketball to get them up to speed and share so much knowledge. And, just this news, I think, is just, you look at the way the game is today, and a lot of guys today, like, how do you get on the court? How do you play basketball after all that?
Well, I mean, that's the thing about life. When there was 9/11, the next day was 9/12, and life still went on. And I think that if Kobe Bryant said one thing to us, it's like, you have to keep living.
I appreciate the honors. I appreciate the respect you had for me and my family. But at the end of the day, life goes on, and NBA basketball is continues to be played. And but there's a big hole. There's a bloody hole in the heart right now, and this is leaking out purple and gold.
You know, Max, you travel with this team. Of course, like I said from the top, Celtics locker room is closed. It will not be open until after this game. But just talk about if you had a couple words to share with some of the players, and which ones did you talk to in particular?
Well, I talked to Jason Brown, Jaylen Brown, excuse me, and Jaylen just for a minute, and I said, "You okay?" He said, "I'm fine." He said, and they looked at me, and I said, "The news," and he said, "Yeah," and he said, "I never got a chance to meet him." And I just found that to just be like, wow, you never got a chance to meet Kobe Bryant. And it was this look of such disappointment. And now that know that he will never meet him and be able to, just speak to him as a player, that to me is very sad. So I just think that every player is going to affect him in so many different ways. But to have a game tonight after this, that's just almost doesn't seem right, but I again, the NBA goes on.
Stay with us, CLNS Media here on YouTube. We have plenty of reaction after this game and plenty of more content that you can check out. Josue Pavone here, Cedric Maxwell, coming at you from the Smoothie King Center here in New Orleans.